Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I have two extremely special guests. You get such a great intro. We have Dan the Man, or as you have all grown to know him now in my videos, Farmer Dan. People are calling you Farmer Dan in the comments now. You better impress people with that farm in the backyard.
I've got plants outside waiting, but I can't plant them for 3 more days.
Till the last frost, right?
Yeah, because tomorrow or the next 2 days at night is potentially like 40 degrees.
Yikes, man.
So,
we've had some really pretty weather, but we've also still had some little cold streaks. So yeah, so we got Farmer Dan. Sorry,
it's really windy.
It is pretty windy out right now.
The wind is the worst.
Yeah.
I don't like the wind
I'm
for
okay.
many reasons.
I'm okay with the breeze, but not like
Yeah.
wind.
Got allergies because of it. Really bad.
Yeah, he's really been suffering. So if Dan seems a little off at all, that's what's going on. He's trying a new allergy medication today, so we'll see. But he is like suffering. Like there are days where he's woken up and it looks like someone just injected fluid into his lower eyes. Sucks.
Sorry.
Well, on top of allergy Farmer Dan, we have McTrowsen. He's a special guest. Just got his nose to his chest. And we are here today to finally give you guys the long-awaited, I say long-awaited because I've received hundreds of comments, probably, asking for the update on our foster care adoption process. Now, we didn't want to give this update for a while because we were really processing everything that was going on and we were trying to figure out what our next step was. And obviously I don't even need to preface this, I feel like you guys know this, but going through a process while sharing it on the internet, sometimes there are just things that you kind of like, you need to make certain decisions beforehand. So yeah, we'll just update you. Basically, I realized we never uploaded all of the PATH class informational videos, and I'm sorry about that. We actually forgot to film like the last 1 or 2.
We can give a basic outline of them in this video, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the only things we didn't cover were like administering medication. I mean, dude, it's hard for me to make
There's
it
like
short.
there's only a few things that we didn't know that we learned in that class that we could say.
Yeah, I mean, not even though. Even as you say that, I'm like, do we even summarize? It was just the administering medication class, and then there was some other class. Oh,
CPR?
culture, and it was like they did a class on the difference between like ethnicity,
oh, the last
culture, race, all of that, because sometimes
cultural awareness.
Yeah, / oftentimes you can end up having a child in your home that is not from your same ethnicity, race, all of that jazz. So we took that class too. I actually don't really want to give a summary because I feel like I don't know how to make things short and to the point. I'll just blabber for 42 minutes. So we're just gonna call that a scrap. So you guys got a good gist. Though on the PATH classes,
just imagine.
You just imagine all of those things. So we did get our PATH certificate though. We are finished, but here's kind of what went down. It became a little bit Drama City USA over here for a minute, and I actually got really discouraged because basically one day about a month ago, I walked into the house and Dan was like, "So,
you want to sit down?"
Yeah, you want to sit down? I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I think you should take a seat." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I just got a call from the foster agency." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, I don't want to like tell your story for you. Feel free if you want to jump in. I can, but if you want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he basically.
It's your story too.
I know you were the one that experienced this call though, which by the way, thank God that it was him that got this call because I think I would have lost it.
I got a little testy.
Yeah. That's the way you made it sound. Like you got a little. Frustrated. Well, dude, if
so basically they called me and said, "We can't use you," and I'm like,
"What do you? I'm sorry, excuse me. What do you mean?"
It just passed PATH. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, it's your age restriction. You're looking for a kid that's too young, and on our stuff we put 2 years old or younger, or up to 2 years.
And literally...
And up to 2 siblings, too.
Okay, and put a pause on that because we need to give a little bit of insight here as to why this was so frustrating. we interviewed this agency before we ever signed on board. So before we even looked into the process with them, we had a sit-down interview with them. And we told them where our head was at and what we were looking to take on, and age ranges for children we were looking to bring into our home. And they're like, yeah, totally fine. All throughout the process, which was a 6-week process, we would have check-ins with them. Our answers never changed. And they were like, yeah, totally fine. We even had a meeting with someone, a one-on-one meeting called like a parent support meeting, where she was like, so is that still what you're looking to do? And we're like, well, yeah, nothing's changed. And she's like, great, sounds great. I even said to her, so how long do you think people typically wait for a baby? And keep in mind, I fully realize that all of this is like, they're weird conversations, because I am fully aware that the goal of foster care, and that really your heart getting into it, like I've said, should be reunification for these families. So it's this really weird place of like, well, we are looking to adopt because not everyone can be reunified, unfortunately. But like, we're not going in like, okay, who are we adopting? Like, we're not unaware. But I said, so how long do you think people typically wait? And she goes, well, it's kind of all over the map. But the day after I was certified, just to give you a little context, she said I was called to get a placement of 2 babies under the age of 2, and the mom was already pregnant with her 10th. So there are a lot of moms, unfortunately, in the system that are kind of just pumping out babies, for lack of a better phrase. So I actually even feel like not only did they never say to us like this isn't going to work, but like if there's like a low-key word for like lied to, that's kind of how I felt. And to finish back, or to loop back up to what he was saying, so they say to you, we have no need for you. And you're like, what do you mean?
So I'm like, from the very beginning, we interviewed you guys, and we told you what we were interested in, blah, 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 everything she said. And she's like, yeah, I'm just really sorry. I'm like, well, I'm aware that you don't have any cases that meet our criteria right now, but we were expecting to wait on deck.
Yeah, we were under the impression it could be a week, 8 months, like you just wait.
But we're here and we're ready. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. I'm really sorry. And I'm like,
which they said
that doesn't make any sense, because you can get a case tomorrow and it's perfect. It's like, so you're saying that you can predict the future by saying you can't use us. I'm like, of course you can. And she was really friendly, but it wasn't making any sense, because she just kept saying, I'm sorry, so-and-so said. And I'm like, I talked to so-and-so to their face. And so they're changing their story. And it's just really, really weird, frustrating. But it didn't surprise me, because it's like, I've already had these phone calls 3 other times. So it's just stupid.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you've been following our journey, you know that there have been a lot of frustrations in the process. The only one that was really our doing, like we walked away from them, they didn't walk away from us, was when we switched country programs, when we were looking to adopt internationally at first. And we left the Thailand country program, which a lot of people have brought up, and I've addressed in comments, but I've never addressed in a video, I don't think, where they basically were like, I don't understand, you're doing foster care, but you left the Thai program because you couldn't share pictures. And maybe I did address this in a video, I'm having deja vu. But we were in a different place mentally back then. I feel like God has really worked on our, and I don't even mean this in like, we were so immature and now we're so mature. It's just, people have different paths and way things unfold. And I think God has worked on our heart and exposed us to different things. But at the time, we didn't like the idea of knowing that a foreign government could potentially take back our child up to a year later based off of whatever they saw on social media, whether someone else accidentally posted something or they just didn't like something we said or did. We were just feeling a little paranoid.
Well, it's any reason. The adoption's not final for a year, and
in that country.
We're over here on the other side of the world, and it's weird.
Yeah, it just felt weird. But every other program and every other thing we've done now has just been us getting kicked out or ended up being something totally different than what we signed up for, and then we were told something different. And the sad part is, I'm starting to think this is really common, because the same day that we found this out, which, by the way, you know, you can't really speculate, who knows what happens, but there is part of me that has wondered, because they wouldn't give him an answer, and even when they hung up, the woman said she was going to check back and call him back, and never did.
Yeah, I never got a call back.
Never called him back. There's a part of me that has felt like, is this because of the internet? Did they look up our names online and then find like that we're documenting all of this, and legal was like, you can't be involved with these people? And I know a lot of you guys have expressed concern to us about that, like, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing this so publicly. But we've really thought about this, and we've talked to a lot of people in the foster care world, in the adoption world, and even though that is obviously a risk, just as many people, if not more, have told us, like, no, if you don't do anything stupid, like reveal private information, you're not only fine, but this is great. This is advocacy. And so, yeah, so we don't know. That might have nothing to do with it, but it was just, it smelled bizarre because they wouldn't give us any kind of reason. So there was something else I was going to say about that, and it blanked. Oh, that's right. The same day that we found this out, I talked to, actually it was the next day, but it turns out they had like found out that day. I found out from a friend that our other friend had also been denied from their foster care program after making it all the way to the end, because they had previously spanked their children. They don't even spank their children anymore, and they had agreed, we will never spank a foster child. They're like the nicest couple. And so to find out, like, wow, so this is like happening to multiple people.
Yeah, it just, I mean...
And I got a DM that same day, within an hour of our conversation, from someone asking me, Nikki, can you please explain some things to me? Like, I want to talk to you about the process because of... And then they listed their process, and it was so similar to ours, like getting denied from things and kicked out of things. And I'm like, wait, I thought there was like an orphan crisis in the world. And it's not very black and white, because is it just that there is an orphan crisis for kids above a certain age? Because I know there's not one place we're getting this information, but then I wish that was clarified to people, because I was always under the impression that there's just a wide crisis of, you know, kids that need parents, so orphans, or the foster care system that, like, of course, older kids, one could argue, are in more need of a home. But I was under the impression that there were just as many babies because of the unfortunate opioid crisis in the nation.
It's so ridiculous to be like, okay, there's a rule. You can't spank a foster child. And then people go, oh yeah, we spanked our kids in the past, but we don't even do it anymore. You could still, they said in our foster class, you could parent your kids however you want to. If you still spank them, that's fine, but you can't spank a foster kid.
They had not to negate you. They actually said you might want to consider changing that.
Right, but they can't make you.
Yeah.
But they...
Supposedly.
Like, if there's two different types of discipline going on in a household, it causes more issues. But to hear someone say, I don't do it anymore, and then deny them because they've spanked their kid in the past, is completely
crazy.
It's crazy, and it doesn't make any sense in the vetting process of some Christian organizations. It just sounds, it's so dumb.
Yeah,
it's so dumb, and I'm gonna just stop there.
Well, on that note, that kind of leads us to where we're at right now. So, we have our PATH certificates. We did take the necessary classes within the state to be certified now. So we are looking at going two different directions. So when I spoke to my therapist, she actually agreed with me that she thinks, well, she was like, she didn't just agree with me. She was like, oh yeah, this is pretty common amongst agencies, especially Christian agencies, because they can be super picky. I'm like, I still don't understand what good that would have done for them to like pay for us to take these classes, but whatever, I'm obviously confused or unaware of stuff. But we're going to take that certificate, and we're looking at applying through the state, which is something we never really wanted to do, because I've said this from the beginning that, like, I'm just like, being involved with the government, like, just sounds not fun. No offense if you're a government worker, it's great on you. But to me, it's kind of like going to the DMV. It's like, or like I've said, school on steroids. It's just a lot. So we're going to look at that direction though, because I do know of people who have had decent state experiences. Not necessarily this state, but I've heard of people on YouTube. And then also, there's someone at our church who sits on the board for another Christian agency here in Nashville. And when we were looking at agencies, there were 2 we were debating. And the only reason I didn't go with this other one that he sits on the board for is because their website wasn't working. And so I just took it as a sign. I was like, sure, we'll go with this one. Like, I didn't know how I was going to pick anyways, because they kind of looked the same online. This guy, I actually kind of like this. The agency has already reached out to me because he went back to them and told them I was interested, and they DM'd me, which means they fully know about our online presence, and they reached out to us. So we are very interested in talking to them as well. So yeah, we're going to talk to them and just kind of see where to go from there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't even think there's anything else to update them on. Do you?
Bowser just wants a new master. That's all.
He does. He
says,
does.
Me.
Ka-chow.
Go.
Ka-chow. Ka-chow. Oh, McTrousen. Boom. Yes, McTrousen. So that is it. There's just know there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
And yes, I've trained him to do this all the time.
It's the best.
It's his best trick.
So we'll keep you guys posted. Depending on what's happening, these updates may continue to be a little further and farther between, just because we want to feel good about what we're updating you on. But there's just know there's a lot happening, meetings taking place, things going down, and there's some stuff that we couldn't tell you today, but I feel like that goes without saying on the internet. But I just wanted to give you guys the gist. It's unfortunate, but also not unfortunate, because literally in our lives, we really feel like God has worked everything together for good, for an outcome that was different than we could have ever imagined or set out to do from the beginning.
Well, that's what you can say when you want to be positive.
Yeah. But it's true though. It's true, and everything, and like hindsight's 20/20. So then you look back and you're like, oh, that's why. And our story is going to be our story, and it's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming up, people. So yeah. All right. I will see you guys back here hopefully very soon with another new video. Oh, I thought you were trying to be like Nikki.
No. So. Comment below if you want her to go skydiving.
All right. I will see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.